Ladies and gentlemen, for true innovation and good ideas,
you need human interaction, conflict, argument, and debate. This is the Great Debaters Contest. I am your host, Esperancia Kapanga.
And I am Chris Buru. Today's motion being debated is underdevelopment in Africa due to overdependence on foreign aid.
The proposition is from Ndururumo Boys High School.
And opposition is from Kahuhia Girls High School. Proposal number 1, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Francis Morioki from Ndururumo High School, ready to propose the motion that states underdevelopment in Africa is due to overdependence on foreign aid. It would not be right for us to start this motion before I explain the history behind the above motion. During the World War, it was decided that 0% of rich countries' revenue would be given to developing countries. What is underdevelopment? According to Google, underdevelopment means the state of an economy where levels of living masses are extremely low due to very low levels of productivity and high growth rates of population. From Google, what is overdependence? Overdependence basically means the state or fact of being too dependent, especially for support or help. What is foreign aid? Foreign aid, according to www.globalissues.com, foreign aid refers to any resources given from one entire nation to another across national borders for the benefit of the country receiving the help. Why do I say that foreign aid is the cause of underdevelopment in Africa? Quoting from editor.cnn.com by Charles, foreign aid has led to lazy government. For example, this research says that Africa dependence on foreign aid means that majority of recipient countries are unwilling to develop proper institutions for revenue collection. This country directly or indirectly shy away from committing services to their citizens and country at large. To my second point, quoting from editor.cnn.com, it says, aid is given on condition. For example, when SGR was being constructed, the country was given about 300 billion. And the condition was, if you are to be given that money, the people from China were the one to come and construct. My question remains, who are the beneficiaries? Are they the donors or recipients? To my third point, this I researched from Evolving World, Book 4, page 139, paragraph 4, that foreign aid has led to economic difficulties. This was evidenced when the state of economic difficulty was further worsened by the withholding of foreign zones and grants by the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, citing poor governance and lack of transparency and accountability by the government of President Moi. I rest my case.
You have 3 minutes for your submission.
They say that knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. That is why if you have been reading the current newspapers, you will learn that detectives have quizzed the African leaders on the status quo of Africa, which stands at a weighing balance. Where is Africa? That is why I, an African, am tired of projects riddled with irregularities like this Liana has to this plant. Rofoe Wamboi, family representing Kahuhia Girls High School, opposing the motion that states underdevelopment in Africa is due to overdependence of foreign aid. According to the Oxford Learners Dictionary, overdependence is the state of wholly relying on someone for the sake of survival. Underdevelopment, on the other hand, is where a country has few industries. Foreign aid is aid that comes from other countries. This is in terms of military aid, financial aids, you name it. To slay the dragon of corruption, judiciary has to play the ball. That is why Kenya, A good epitome of our discussion on corruption is ranked the 14th most corrupt state in Africa. And it is my pleasure, my judges and ladies and gentlemen, to let you know of the newest trending saying, all that Ngiritas is a family affair. The Ngirita family receiving 300 million for supplying air, something that the almighty deity has never charged me for. Is that fair? I bet not. The same family on diverse dates between January 2013 and February 2017 received 58.9 billion for supplying goods which were not even there. If this money were to be used for the appropriate use, maybe the second largest slum in Africa would have been a better place. That is Kibera slums. Maybe there'll be an additional train on the standard gauge railway. Just maybe. South Africa, another epitome of this discussion. They recently impeached their president, Jacob Zuma, for corruption and embezzlement of office fund. In his 9 years term as president, 9.5 billion was unaccounted for just in 2 years. Do you think Africa will grow due to these minor cases that are causing very great change in our development? That is why we, the team of proposers, stick to maintain that underdevelopment in Africa is not due to overdependence of foreign aid.
Proposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. What I can't believe is this, the air that has been left in this place. I can't believe it. This air is full of rumors, full of lies, full of everything bad. Once for all, I like to tell these people one thing. Us as Africans, forget one thing and forget this. We always look for something to blame at and a scapegoat when we know the real truth about everything. I'm Nelson Macharia from Ndururumo High School, swearing to tell nothing but the truth. First, I'd like to read an article that I read from thebrooking.com. It was talking about the foreign trade. It was asking a question, is foreign trade a monster or a messiah? First thing that I noted at the end of the article, it said that one thing, that foreign trade is a monster. Is a monster coming to feed on us, coming to destroy us. And as Africans, we're not looking at this point. First, look at the invisible trades. Look at the invisible imports we get from. When anyone from us here in this hall, you want to get treatment from any heart disease, where do you go? You go to India. We want to build roads. Just yesterday, I was coming from Nakuru, and near Naivas, I found a signboard written that this road is being constructed by a Chinese company. And this is what is eating up. Because the Chinese come into our country, the Cuba doctors come into our country, they work, they get salaries, and after they are paid, taxes are gotten from this place, and the taxes go and develop their country, leaving our countries selfless, leaving our countries no hope. If, and we as Africans, we agree that we depend so much on foreign trade, we could have developed so much. I am proposing the motion that states that underdevelopment in Africa is due to overdependency on foreign trade. On to my second point. In Africa, we are mainly helped in economic, in military, and in political aid. In Africa, after we have been sponsored, after we have been helped, for example, in Somalia, they come with conditions. The USA, for example, go to Mozambique, and they tell them one thing, and they talk, and they agree on one thing, that we are going to help you to overthrow the government, and after this, you will do this and this for us. And that is what is eating us up. Because after we have signed these contracts, what they will do, they will come, go to our resources, they will eat up our resources, and all the profits they will take to their country, leaving our country with nothing. Another thing is the issue on brain drain. That's the third point on brain drain. What do you do as Kenyans? Most of the high schoolers, we find that which university do you want to go? I want to go to Cambridge. I want to go to Manchester University. I want to go to Oxford. And when you go to these places, after you have finished your studies, what you do? You go and work there. What about the knowledge that you have gotten? You could have just come into Africa, your country, and develop Africa. So you have been brain drained by this foreign nation, by this foreign aid of scholarship, and you leave your country helpless. I'll finish by a quote from Ramsey Clark that says, "The greatest crime since World War II has been the US foreign aid." I rest my case.
Second Opposer, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal.
It is true that Africa continues to look for a scapegoat. And that is what our proposals are doing by scapegoating foreign aid. And by the way, Africa is not a country, it is a continent. When you hear that a friend of yours is sick, the first thing that you want to know is what is this that is ailing your friend? It helps you a lot when this infirmity that is ailing your friend is something like, let's say, lung cancer that was brought about by his constant smoking. You exhale when you hear this answer because this disease that your friend suffers from belongs to the category that does not call for sympathy but demands for explanations. My name is Wanjiro Faith Wamboi from the great Kahuhia Girls, and I am firmly opposing this motion that states underdevelopment in Africa is due to overdependence in foreign aid. Now on to my first point, brain drain. According to a research that was done by the Kenyatta Students' University, it is a fact that 6.1 million graduates, 6.1 million graduates. This is the cream of the society in Africa. The cream, the educated elite that can develop this country. These 6.1 million graduates fly out of this country every single year to go and look for job opportunities in these developed countries. Is it the fault of the foreign aid-giving countries that we cannot appreciate our own? Is it their fault that we are not paying our doctors? Is it their fault that doctors have to go and look for jobs elsewhere because we cannot afford to pay them? Is it their fault? I don't think so. Terrorism, terror. This is a word by its mere pronunciation sends chills down your spine. Somali, Kenya, Nigeria are just but examples of countries in Africa that are constantly suffering attacks every other day. The infamous Westgate Mall attack crippled economic activities in Nairobi for 3 good days. 3 good days. According to AfricanExportant.com, the worth of the Kenyan shilling decreased by 1.633% within those 3 days. Now, this is a very big percentage if you compare it to the worth of the Kenyan dollar. Now, Somali has become a bed of terrorist attacks. It is actually home to one of the biggest terror groups, Al-Shabaab. And according to the World Index of Development, Somali is among the most underdeveloped countries in Africa. Now, terrorism, corruption, political instability, poor leadership are among the main causes that Africa is underdeveloped and not foreign aid. Let us stop scapegoating foreign aid. According to www.africanexportant.com, European Union, an organization that gives foreign aid, is actually assisting civil society groups in Rwanda to achieve good governance. If this is not development, I don't know what is.
The proposers have been asked, how does foreign aid lead to financial difficulties as they had stated before? The opposers, on the other hand, have been asked to state an example of an African country that does not depend on foreign aid and is still successful. Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes to answer the question.
Here in front of you is Lois Bogwa from Ndururumo High School, ready to propose the motion that underdevelopment in Africa is due to foreign aids, is due to overdependence on foreign aids. I would like to leave you with this quote from before I continue. From the English Standard Version Bible, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 23, which says, all things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. May I start with this first point, with answering the question from the audience, which stated that how the foreign aid affected the financial facilities. I would like to answer this. The government is very lazy, which cannot point out, we cannot point out and be creative of finding other ways to help its country. We find that it depends on this foreign aid, which cannot help to sustain the government because it helps them to build the roads, like the Chinese who build the roads, the SGR, so that we find that they are not creative enough. They do not think outside the box to find that we can help this country. Then they stop using the foreign aid from these more larger countries. May I start with the first point? We find from the Time Chronicles that America still remains the bedrock of the global financial system. And over 80%, I repeat, 80% is all that it helps in the financial transactions are made through dollars. Let me ask a question. Why is it American dollars? Why can't it be Kenyan shillings? Why do we adhere to the fact that it has to be American dollars? We have to sell. That means the foreign aid that we receive, we have to give these loan traits to them so that they can exchange our mining rights and giving the state money that they can exchange them in dollars. Why can't we change it? Why can't we develop ourselves, rebuke this aid, and help our country to make it using our Kenyan money rather than using the American money? As I continue, I would like to state from the website www.foreignbrief/Africa, which states that Congo has a wide range of natural resources, but we find that they are incapable of reusing it. We find that the Belgium regime, which comes to help them, and that is only the fact that they find that they can only exploit those minerals. Nothing else can happen and nothing else can continue from the Belgium, other than the Belgian regime to come and bring in their machines, come and bring in their creative people, coming to bring the archaeologists to bring back the minerals so that they can take it back and say that they have come to aid us. As I continue, we find that the cobalt is also sent to major companies such as Apple, but yet we have the resources right next to us. Why can't we use it? Why? Why can't we make ourselves a better country, be as peer, and make it even larger than Apple company? Whereas you have the enough resources, you have the enough equipment, but we have the lack of interest and the lack of creativity. I would like to continue to say, a good example is Zimbabwe, which is endowed with a wide range of minerals, of which 10 out of 50 are exploited. What does this tell you? Only 10 out of 50 are exploited. Please, let us change for the better. And please, to my fellow opposers, please, let's cross over to the side and make ourselves the better country. Thank you.
Kadu Buza, you have 3 minutes to respond to your question.
The man with the meat is the man with the knife. These are words of the one Pasime Olekaelo, one of the main characters in the novel The Blossoms of the Savannah by H.R. Olekulet. To answer the question asked, that I state a country in Africa that does not rely on foreign aid, but is still developed. I'd like to tell you of a country that most of you probably don't even know of, Cote d'Ivoire. This is a country, according to www.africanexportant.com, the last time Cote d'Ivoire asked for money outside Africa was in the late 1990s. And this country has a GDP of a whopping 32.97 trillion US dollars. Other than over-reliance on foreign aid, political instability is one of the reasons why Africa is doing badly off as a continent. Take an example of Rwanda. In 1994, on 6th April, the shooting down of the then president, brought down, it sparked the genocide. And in this genocide, about 1 million people are estimated to have died, and this is about 20% of the population then. Political instability has ripple effects. Take Kenya, for example. The World Tourism Organization states that before 2007, Kenya was earning a revenue of 13.28 million US dollars from tourism. As at 2009, after the post-election violence, the revenue earned from tourism had gone down to 6.2 million US dollars. So I don't see why we should blame foreign aid when these countries are actually helping us. with all the problems facing Africa, how can you do without this extra help you're getting? With all the problems that we have as a continent, how are we supposed to rise up from where we were? For decades, underdevelopment has embedded itself into the very fabric of the social economic factors that plague our continent. This has led to our continent being dubbed the dark continent. And this is not by any chance a metaphor. In 1970s, Africa as a continent was at par with countries such as China, Singapore, Malaysia, to mention but a few. These countries are now spearheading economic development in the world. These countries are now giants. Take China, for example. China is the leading country in aquaculture, producing 62.7% of the world's aquaculture. That is according to www.itshistory.com. Where are we as Africa? Where are we as Kenya? And where do we hope to go if we say that these countries that decide to help us by offering aid are actually doing us more harm than good? I rest my case.
Proposers, you have 1 minute to make a final submission.
When I mentioned the word foreign aid, tears rolled down my heart. For how long shall we remain being beggars? Why don't we utilize our resources and not being beggars? I want to ask you a question. Have you ever thought how our forefathers who died long time ago, who fought for our independence, would feel when they find the continent that they left a good continent, a continent mercilessly full of beggars? I want to take for example, Nelson Mandela, Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, Samora Machel, and others. How would they feel? That is why I'm saying we must find a solution for this, so that the Sustainable Development Goal number 9, that states build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization. And for this to be attained, it is up everybody to take chance. Private sector, civil society, the government, and people like you, and even these beautiful ladies from Kahuhia girls. I want to leave you with a quote that says, could that mean that the foreign aid that is purported to assist African development is perhaps the main stumbling block to growth of the continent? As I conclude, may Almighty God bless Kahuhia, may He bless Ndururumo and Africa at large. Thank you.
Opposers, you have 1 minute to make a final submission.
Well, thank you for the beautiful compliment, but beauty lies in the brain. Ladies and gentlemen, my debaters and the judges at large, do not be blinded by a forest of words and a desert of points. For we have decided to call maroon maroon and not dark red, to call a spade and not a big spoon. And for as long as the sun will shine, the rain will fall, the cows will moo, and the cats will meow. The truth will remain the truth, that underdevelopment in Africa will never, has never, can never be due to over-reliance of foreign aid. Period. Case definitely closed.
This was a good debate, and I want to agree and say that as judges, we also had quite a tough time here trying to deliberate and look at how the debate is performed. Underdevelopment in Africa is due to overdependence on foreign aid. I want to start by saying that this is a two-part motion, relationship-based, and we're talking about the level of development in Africa and dependence on aid. And I want to let the two teams know that aid is quite broad. It's not just about money. We have even expatriates, exchanges, and the likes. And so you could have actually even gone way and given us many examples. Well done. We will wait for the results.
The judges have decided in such a heated debate to award Ndururumo Boys High School 67%. Let's appreciate them. Kahuhia Girls High School. The judges saw it fit to award you 73.1. Congratulations to Kahuhia Girls High School, to Ndururumo High School. You live to fight another day.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to KBC Channel 1 as we continue the search for the next great debater. Remember, the debate might be over, but the conversation still continues across our social media platforms. The hashtag is GDC for SDGs. We'd also like to appreciate our sponsors, Blaze by Safaricom, Brown Kenya Board, for making all this possible. Until next time, I have been your host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperanza Kapanga. Catch you next time.